Hello and a very good evening. You're watching Rajya Sabha Television. This is Verdict 2013. I'm your host Frank Pereira. Let's begin with the headlines. BJP comes out with its manifesto for the Delhi Assembly polls, promises to bring relief from spiralling prices of commodities and power tariff. Election Commission says voters in poll-bound states are eligible to get paid leave on voting day, sends a letter to all state electoral officers. Election Commission issues notice to BSP candidate in Delhi over allegations of use of paid news. And Arvind Kejriwal gets 2 more days to reply to the Election Commission's notice on violation of Model Code of Conduct. Well, the Bharatiya Janata Party has released its manifesto today for the upcoming assembly elections in Delhi. The Saffron Party has focused on price reduction, cost of electricity bills and regularization of unauthorized colonies in Delhi in its manifesto. Delhi will go to polls on December 4th when incumbent Chief Minister Sheila Dikshit will be seeking a record 4th term.
For the last 15 years, Delhi has kept BJP away from ruling the state. This time, they hope to upstage Sheila Dikshit's apple cart in the capital with promises targeting the urban middle-class voters. In its manifesto released today, the party assured some reprieve to voters from spiraling cost of electricity. In its manifesto released today, the party assured some reprieve to voters from the spiraling cost of electricity. It promises to reduce the cost by 30%.
सुनिश्चित करेंगे कि दिल्ली को एक ऐसी सरकार दें जिस सरकार पर खाली दिल्ली वासियों को ही नहीं अपितु पूरे देश को गर्व हो.
After incorporating a number of suggestions received from Delhiites online, the BJP in its manifesto promised full statehood to the city, reduction in vegetable prices within 30 days of coming to power, and 12 subsidized LPG cylinders in a year to each household. Trauma centers in all districts and medicines of 25 types free of cost to every Delhi citizen since birth has also been promised by the Saffron Party. Monorail, health insurance for all citizens and regularization of unauthorized colonies are some of the other promises on the manifesto.
इंश्योरेंस की स्कीम है जिसमें सारे दिल्ली वासियों को हम कंपलसरी स्वास्थ्य बीमा देंगे. बहुत ही नॉमिनल प्रीमियम उसके लिए होगा. ये संभव है. लोग कहते हैं संभव नहीं, हम संभव करके दिखाएंगे ये.
The BJP is hoping to bring out separate manifestos for each constituency too. It has left it up to each of its candidates to decide on doing so. The party released its first local poll charter for Model Town. Candidate from Greater Kailash Ajay Malhotra has promised scrapping of the controversial BRT, while Better Sewerage Plan tops the manifesto agenda of Malviya Nagar candidate Aarti Mehra. It has gone a step ahead and decided to make tailor-made manifesto for each constituency to increase people's participation. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Rajya Sabha Television's Sham Sundar joins us for more on the story, of course, right now. He's joining us from Delhi at the moment. Sham, very clearly the BJP has come out with its manifesto, but what is it that the BJP is promising to the voters of Delhi?
Well, Frank, as far as BJP's manifesto is concerned, they have tried to touch almost every issue, but there are 3 major promises made by BJP, and one of the promises is to rationalize the cost of electricity, to rationalize the prices of vegetables, and they have promised that within 30 days they will control prices. And apart from that, they have promised solar energy for every house. But the question is how they will fulfill these promises. When you ask them, they tell you that they have a plan in place, but they don't want to talk about this plan right now. They tell you that when they come to power in Delhi, if at all they come to power, then they have their plans, and they will do everything possible to fulfill these promises. And another interesting thing is they have promised full statehood to Delhi, and when you ask them how they will do this, then they tell you that in next elections of Lok Sabha in 2014 there will be Narendra Modi's government, so Delhi will get full statehood, and if Delhi gets full statehood status, then Delhi police will come under state government, and in that way they will address the security issue also. So they have promised, but how they will fulfill they are not giving very clear answer for that, or maybe they don't have that answer, because as far as economic policies are concerned, as far as their stand on subsidies are concerned, that stand is not very different from Congress party.
All right, do stay with us, Shyam Sundar. We'll come to you for another reaction in just a bit. But with the polls in Delhi round the corner, all three major players have come out with their list of promises in the form of poll manifestos. While the BJP and the political debutant Aam Aadmi Party are busy competing on reduction of prices of vegetables and power tariff, the Congress has focused on faster growth of the national capital. What's common between the three manifestos is that every party has promised full statehood to Delhi. Here's a comparison of the manifestos.
In the last 15 years, Delhi has undergone several changes under the leadership of Chief Minister Sheila Dikshit. Her challengers will have its task cut out if they want to defeat her in the upcoming assembly polls in Delhi. Both BJP and the newcomer Aam Aadmi Party have treaded the same path towards achieving their target. Both BJP and the Aam Aadmi Party have kept their focus on urban middle-class voters when finalizing their manifestos. It has hardly been a year after the December 16 gang rape shook the national capital. So security was one of the major issues the parties had to deal with. Aam Aadmi Party has mooted the idea of forming citizen security forces in each ward to ensure security of women, children and senior citizens. BJP has promised 24 hours call centers and a dedicated women's security force under the direct supervision of the Chief Minister. Congress, which has been on the receiving end for its way of handling the issue of women's security in Delhi, has pushed for police reforms, evolved mechanism for better cooperation with police, special training for police to handle crimes against women in its manifesto. Rising prices of essential commodities, lack of drinking water and a spiraling power tariff are some of the issues that have affected the middle-class voters immensely. To address these issues, both the BJP and Aam Aadmi Party have come out with similar promises. BJP has promised to bring down power tariff by at least 30%. It has also promised to reduce prices of vegetables within 30 days of coming to power. It has also promised to increase number of subsidized LPG cylinders to 12. The Aam Aadmi Party in its manifesto has claimed to bring down the power tariff by 50%. Both parties have talked about using solar energy to reduce costs. Congress, however, has promised to set up fast-track grievance cells to address complaints, increase power generation and promote solar power. Water scarcity is a problem that several parts of Delhi have been living with for several years now. Yet, not much has been done to eradicate the problem. BJP in its manifesto vowed to provide safe drinking water, modernize the distribution system and focus on recycling of water. It promised to make the existing sewage system efficient and environment-friendly with the use of latest technology. Aam Aadmi Party has promised 700 litres of free water to every family. The party said those consuming more will pay more. It has also opposed privatization of Delhi Jal Board. Congress said it will extend the subsidy to domestic consumers from current 30 kilolitre per month to 40 kilolitre per month. 3 new water treatment plants to be set up. Regularization of unauthorized colonies in Delhi is another issue which all political parties have addressed in their manifestos. Each party has promised to regularize the remaining unauthorized colonies if voted to power, though it remains to be seen how much these promises translate into votes when the state goes to polls on December 4th. Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, let's go back to Shyam Sundar now, who's still standing by and is still with us on this story as well. Shyam, all three parties have gone all out to try and woo the voters of Delhi, but will they be able to keep their promises is really the big question.
Well, we have talked about BJP in our earlier part of the discussion, but as far as Congress manifesto is concerned, everybody knows that for last 15 years Sheila Dikshit is ruling Delhi, and it's a difficult election for us because she has to answer many issues which are directly not related to Delhi government. Those issues are related to central government, whether the issues of housing or law and order. But Sheila Dikshit has promised that she will try to get a single command system as far as security issues are concerned. She told Rajya Sabha TV in an interview that Delhi is national capital and providing security to VVIPs here is not possible for Delhi government, and it has to be with the central government, with the Home Ministry. But she said in her manifesto also, and she said that she will try to get a single command system for not only for security, for other issues also. Now, if they have to go for housing, they have to go for DDA and different ministries. So she has promised a single command system for every service provided by Delhi government. Apart from that, she is talking about she has given metro to Delhi, and power system is much better. But she says that they are making elevated roads, and she has clearly accepted that BRT is a failed experiment, and they will not go for many experiments like BRT. So Sheila Dikshit knows that it is a difficult election for her, but she is quite confident, and they have regularized many unauthorized colonies, and she has promised more unauthorized colonies to be come in this category, and they will regularize more colonies if they come back to the power. As far as Aam Aadmi Party is concerned, again they have promised many things, whether the cost of electricity, whether solar energy is concerned, price rise is concerned, but they haven't made their stand clear on the policy issues, like what is their stand on privatization. You are talking about the cutting cost of electricity, but they have to make their stand clear on these issues also.
All right, we'll have to leave it at that. Thank you so much, Shyam Sundar, for bringing us up to date with the latest there as far as that particular issue is concerned. Moving on now, the Election Commission has said that in the assembly polls in 5 states, any voter employed in any business, trade, industrial undertaking or any other establishment is entitled to paid holiday on the day of election. The poll panel said that the provisions require that all establishments and shops, including those which work on shift basis, shall be closed on the day of poll in the constituency where an election is to be held. It added that the daily wage of casual workers were also entitled for a holiday and wages on poll day. In a communication sent to chief secretaries of poll-bound states, the poll panel said, and I quote, "I am directed to invite your attention to Section 135B of the Representation of the People's Act of 1951, which provides for the grant of paid holiday to the employees on the day of poll," unquote. The rules that the section will not apply to any elector whose absence may cause danger or substantial loss in respect of employment in which he is engaged. Among 5 states where assembly elections are being held, only Rajasthan and Delhi are yet to vote. Both the states will go to polls next month. Well, the Election Commission has granted 2 more days to Aam Aadmi Party convener Arvind Kejriwal to reply to its notice for model code violation. The Election Commission had issued a notice to Kejriwal for appealing to vote on religious grounds. He was served a notice by the poll panel on November 20th after the distribution of pamphlets. Now, in the probe initiated against him, the Delhi CEO directed the poll officers to file a report within 2 days. Meanwhile, the poll panel has also initiated a probe into allegation against Kejriwal for being enrolled in voters' list in 2 assembly seats. The Delhi BJP had approached the Election Commission on Friday alleging that he was enrolled as a voter in 2 constituencies in Delhi and 1 in Uttar Pradesh. The newly formed Aam Aadmi Party will contest any form of election for the first time when Delhi goes to vote on December 4th. BSP candidate Dheeraj Kumar Tokas from Delhi's RK Puram seat has been issued a notice by the Office of the Chief Electoral Officer in a case involving allegations of use of paid news. Now, a total of 8 cases of suspected paid news were discussed by election officials at the first meeting of the Media Certification and Monitoring Committee. The panel, while issuing the notice to the BSP candidate, decided that a similar course would be followed vis-a-vis allegations of paid news against certain contestants in the Uttam Nagar, Matia Mahal and Nangloy Jat constituencies. Those issued notices would have 48 hours to respond to the same, following which the panel shall decide the matter on the basis of facts and circumstances on record. According to Election Commission guidelines, MCMC can decide cases on certification of advertisement in the electronic media and also examine allegations of paid news. It is also empowered to take up suo motu cognizance of suspected cases of paid news. Now, with the list of candidates finalized for the Delhi Assembly polls, all political parties are now in the final phase of their campaigning. Let's now take a look at RK Puram constituency, which is likely to see a three-way contest between three-time Congress MLA Barkha Singh, Shazia Ilmi of the Aam Aadmi Party and Anil Sharma of the BJP.
RK Puram constituency has a small vote bank consisting of government employees and people living in small colonies. The main problem of the area is lack of water and electricity crisis.
सीवर जो है आज से 50 साल पहले डले थे, जब मुश्किल से गांव की 50,000 की आबादी थी। आज 2-3 लाख की आबादी है, फिर भी वही सीवर है। रोज ब्लॉक होते हैं, नालियां बह रही हैं, कूड़ा करकट है, कोई हमारे यहाँ कोई मतलब सुविधा नहीं है।
As campaigning picks up in the capital for the forthcoming assembly elections, political parties are trying hard to woo voters with their promises. This time, Barkha Singh of Congress, Anil Sharma of BJP and Shazia Ilmi of Aam Aadmi Party will contest from RK Puram constituency seat.
If there is a problem, it's related to the central government. Otherwise, the government servants are very happy because they have got the 7th pay commission. So they are happy.
हमारे यहाँ 4 तरह का वोटर है। झुग्गी बस्ती का, जो हमारा स्लम में रहता है हमारा भाई, वो दुखी है। गांव का आदमी दुखी है। पोश इलाका है, आनंद निकेतन और बसंत विहार, वहाँ पर भी पानी नहीं है, वो भी नाराज। और गवर्नमेंट कॉलोनी तो नाराज है ही।
किस तरह से फंडों का आवंटन हो रहा है कि बगैर लोगों से पूछे हुए ही उनके चुने हुए प्रतिनिधि जो कि एमएलए होते हैं, एमपी होते हैं, उनका पैसा जो उनके विकास के लिए होता है खर्च करते हैं। तो वो सब तो मुद्दे उठाने ही हैं, लेकिन एक सुरक्षा का मुद्दा बहुत बड़ा मुद्दा है।
There are around 1,40,000 voters in RK Puram constituency. For the last 3 assembly elections, this constituency has voted for Congress's Barkha Singh. She won in 2008 with a margin of 4,000 votes and in 2003 by 3,000 votes. But this time, she will be facing tough challenges from BJP and the newly formed Aam Aadmi Party. Anu Diwan, Rajya Sabha TV.
Well, it's time for a short break now, but Verdict 2013 will be right back. To stay tuned. Welcome back. You're watching Rajya Sabha Television. Well, assembly elections in Rajasthan will be held on the 1st of December and the campaigning is at its peak now, with political parties making use of social media platforms as well. Our correspondent Vishal Dahiya tried to find out the intensity and effectiveness of such campaigns in the state.
It's election time in Rajasthan and the usual abundance of flags, posters and banners is missing due to strict guidelines from the Election Commission. But it's a different scenario altogether in the virtual world, with political parties trying to woo voters through links on internet, social media platforms such as Facebook and even mobile applications like WhatsApp.
Both Congress and BJP have their own dedicated teams to manage various websites and Facebook pages of their senior leaders. While Congress tries to reach out through links such as Aapka Mukhyamantri and Aam Jan Ki Sarkar, BJP too has significant presence on Facebook and Twitter, giving information about its manifesto and chief ministerial candidate Vasundhara Raje. Both parties claim to have taken the lead over the other in the world of virtual campaigning.
जब से कांग्रेस पार्टी और राहुल जी ने जो शुरुआत की है राजस्थान में आके, उसके बाद से हम भारतीय जनता पार्टी अन्य पार्टियों से बहुत आगे चले गए। सोशल नेटवर्क पे हमसे जुड़ रहे हैं, युवा भी जुड़ रहे हैं, महिलाएं भी जुड़ रही हैं।
कि लोगों के बहुत अच्छे अच्छे सुझाव भी हमको इस सोशल मीडिया के माध्यम से मिले और अनेकों सुझावों को हमने ये बताते हुए प्रसन्नता है कि हमने अपने जो स्वराज संकल्प पत्र जारी किया है, जो कमिटमेंट लेटर जारी किया है, उसमें भी सम्मिलित किया है। इसलिए सोशल मीडिया में हमने अग्रणी की है और बाकी लोगों ने फिर धीरे धीरे हमारे सोशल मीडिया को देखने के बाद फॉलो करना चालू किया है।
Voters though have mixed reactions to the online campaign by political parties.
सोशल मीडिया का जो इफेक्ट है वो पार्टीज के कैंपेन में नहीं आ रहा है। कैंपेन पे बहुत इफेक्ट कर रहा है, बातें पहुंचा रहा है, बट नेचुरल है कि 4% 5% इफेक्ट तो इसको नॉर्मली मारना ही चाहिए कैंपेन पे।
अभी गांव के लोग भी, उन लोगों को भी शौक आता है कि हम लोग फेसबुक पे आए, हमारा अकाउंट बनाओ, ये वो, तो फ्रेंड्स के जरिए बनते हैं उनके फ्रेंड्स।
Meanwhile, analysts say that though Rajasthan is a traditional society, this kind of campaigning also has specific targets among voters.
निसंदेह इसकी अपनी कॉन्स्टेंसी है, जो अर्बन यूथ है, जो नेट सेवी है, जो अपर कास्ट है, जो रिच लोग हैं, जो एलिट क्लास लोग हैं, वो सब इसको इस्तेमाल करते हैं और कहीं न कहीं उससे प्रभावित भी होते हैं.
Online campaign by political parties does seem to evoke some response from the electorate. But how much of this response will translate into vote will be clear only when the counting takes place on December 8th. With Vishal Dahiya and camera person DK Pandey in Jaipur, Bureau Report, Rajya Sabha Television.
Well, our correspondent Vishal Dahiya joins us for more on this story right now. Vishal, considering that social media is going to play a considerable role in these elections, of course, what is being done on social media platforms by several of these parties there in Rajasthan?
Well, if you look at the presence on social media of the state BJP and state Congress units, it's pretty significant out here. In addition to their own links to the websites, that is the Rajasthan Pradesh Congress Committee as well as the state unit of the BJP, they have specific links to several other pages as well, and their senior leaders, specifically the chief ministerial candidate from Congress, the chief minister Ashok Gehlot, and from the BJP, the chief ministerial candidate Vasundhara Raje. They have their own specific links on the Facebook as well as Twitter handles, and they are regularly managed by a trained team. In fact, both the parties did hold a training session, sort of workshop for its entire team, as well as the state level spokespersons and other leaders as to how to go ahead and increase parties' presence on social media platforms. And that is why we see these tools becoming a sort of a new weapon for the political parties to try and go ahead and woo the voters, to try and convince them as to vote for them. But given the fact that Rajasthan is a traditional sort of society wherein still the focus is more on traditional forms of communication, that is meeting each other, going to the festivals, and the political parties, political leaders, and specifically the people in the rural areas would prefer to see the candidate in person rather than getting messages from them. So as our expert was saying out here, the political analysts believe that this has a limited constituency, that too in urban areas. We might see a little bit of difference in urban areas, the urban youth and the rich and the elite class. But as far as rural areas and the population residing in those areas are concerned, they're still interested more in the traditional form of campaigning. That is public rallies with lots of music, blaring around, and they're popular, and they're popular leaders talking to them straight away from the dais rather than through that particular screen in the mobile phone or computer.
All right, we'll have to leave to that. Thank you so much, Vishal Dahiya, for joining us there with all those inputs. Moving on now, in several campaign rallies in the run-up to the assembly polls in 5 states, the Congress leaders have claimed that UPA's flagship program, Manrega, has benefited many in the rural areas of the country. Here's a ground report on how it has impacted the lives of people in Rajasthan's Rajsamand district.
Piplantari Panchayat in Rajsamand welcomes one to its lushful greenery. Known for its marble industries, Rajsamand is also a major dumping ground for waste materials from these factories. However, in Piplantari, these lands are now the cultivating ground for aloe vera and other crops, all because of the Manrega scheme.
मनरेगा से एम्प्लॉयमेंट मिला है लोगों को, जो माइग्रेशन होता था वो रुका है शहरों की ओर, लोगों को गांव में यहाँ पर रोजगार मिल रहा है. इसके अलावा तो महिलाओं को भी स्पेशली रोजगार मिला है, महिलाएं आत्मनिर्भर भी हुई हैं, तो मनरेगा के काफी फायदे हैं.
Earlier, locals here had to migrate to neighboring states in search of jobs, but now under the Manrega scheme, they have a job all year round.
149 रुपए मिलते हैं हमको.
149. ओके. और काम कितने होते हैं उसकी वजह से मिल रही होगी आपको?
हाँ, हम अच्छे काम करते हैं, हमको अच्छे इधर 16 लोग आते हैं.
The scheme, which earlier had several loopholes, is now benefiting the rural population. To eliminate funds pilferage under the job scheme and to ensure direct transfer of cash, the state government has rolled out the electronic fund management system. Details of work done by people are maintained in an electronic form using a software that enable authorities concerned to directly credit wages into the account of the person concerned. The system also enables evaluation of work undertaken under Manrega.
जब शुरुआत हुई थी तब उसमें थोड़ी बहुत कमियां थी, पर आज अब उसमें काफी सुधार हो गया है। जो नेगेटिविटी थी कि वेज पूरी नहीं मिल पाती है, लोगों को ये होता है, अब मस्ट्रॉल्स भी कंप्यूटर से निकलते हैं। इसके अलावा इलेक्ट्रॉनिक फंड मैनेजमेंट सिस्टम EFMS लागू हुआ है, जिसमें खाते में ही सीधे लेबर के पैसा जा रहा है।
यहाँ के जो गरीब परिवार है, ये मनरेगा में इन लोगों को पहले 100 दिन का रोजगार था, अभी 150 कर दिया सरकार ने। बहुत ही फायदा है, और ये लोग जो औरतों के, ज्यादातर औरतों को फायदा हुआ।
Of the 8 crore 26 lakh Manrega accounts in the country, 43% are post office accounts, while the remaining are bank accounts. Officials said they had earlier received complaints from some workers over delay in payment or being paid less. But the new system has now put an end to these complaints.
Right now, we are here in the Piplandri Panchayat in Rajsamand district of Rajasthan. Quite contrary to the negative publicity that Manrega has gained across the country, here people are very happy and they are getting their daily wages. With camera person Gajendra, Neetu Eldos from Rajsamand in Rajasthan.
With that, it's a wrap on this edition of Verdict 2013. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you again same time, same place tomorrow.